guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Lainey, and today I will be talking about the disappearance slash murder of Bonnie Haim. In this video, I'll also be doing my makeup, so you guys can just, sort of watch or do your makeup at the same time. It's up to you, but this case is a handful, and I really think it's a good one. Whenever I first heard about it, I was instantly intrigued, so I think you guys will definitely feel the same way. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave a comment, and also suggest other types of videos, different cases that you guys would like to see, so stay tuned. Alright guys, so before I get into the video, I just want to clarify something. I have the biggest pimple of my life. Are you ready? Because it's bad. I don't know where it came from. I've been trying everything for like the past week to get rid of it, and it's still there. So try to ignore it. I know it's kind of right there and you have to look at it, but I just wanted to clarify that before I begin. So Bonnie Lynn Picciuto Haim was born in 1969 in Scotland, and in 1993 she was living in Jacksonville, Florida. So Bonnie had been described as an extremely loving and caring young woman. She loved shopping, but everyone who knew her could say that if she loved one thing most in the entire world, it was her son Aaron. So right after high school, Bonnie married her high school sweetheart, Michael Haim. Her family wasn't very surprised by this. They all thought that he was the perfect package, and they could tell that Bonnie was really happy when she was with him. 2 years after their wedding, when Bonnie was 20 years old, they had their son Aaron. So both Bonnie and Michael both worked for Michael's Uncle Bernie and Aunt Yvonne at their construction supply shop, which was called Bernie's. Michael was the manager of Bernie's, and Bonnie mainly worked in the computer area. She had a real knack for working with computers in general, which was pretty cool considering in the 90s, computers, technology, and stuff like that wasn't one of those things that everyone really knew how to work, so she was obviously very smart. Bonnie was an extremely hard worker, and a lot of people who knew her claimed that this was because she wanted to give her son Aaron every single chance at life that she could give him. Bonnie was extremely well respected at her job, even though she was just really working in the computer area, was a bookkeeper, stuff like that. People really did respect her because she was nice to them and works like that. So on January 7th, 1993, Bonnie didn't show up for work, and Michael had also called out sick that day. So at about 3 in the morning, the night before, Michael had called his mother and asked if she could come and watch Aaron while he went out and looked for Bonnie. According to Michael, him and Bonnie had gotten into an argument, and she had taken the car and left. This had occurred around 11 p.m. that night. Now, Michael claimed that when he went to look for her, one of the first places that he went was Bonnie's mother's house. So according to Michael, he had been gone for about 45 minutes after his mother showed up. And then he came back home and sort of just waited around until in the morning. But oddly enough, Michael did not call the police. Now, the night that she went missing, she was actually supposed to go hang out with a van, and this was supposed to be at 8 o'clock, but at 8:30 a van received a phone call from Bonnie, and she was hysterically crying, saying that her and Michael were having a discussion, an argument, and that she would not be able to come and see Yvonne that night. So Yvonne, of course, asked Bonnie if she wanted her to come over, check on her, just make sure she was all right, but Bonnie denied. Bonnie had told Yvonne that she would call her in the morning. Now, I think we can all agree that Michael is definitely looking a bit suspicious. Now, in terms of Michael and Bonnie's relationship at the time, they were having a lot of problems. And as a matter of fact, a lot of people who knew Bonnie said that she was planning on leaving him. Now, from what I could tell from the resources, I don't believe that Michael and Bonnie's arguments ever got physical. It was just like these huge screaming matches, and it was really taking its toll on Bonnie's mental state. Bonnie was one of those people who lit up the room. They were always giggling, smiling, and people who were close to her said that shortly after she had married Michael, this bubbly, optimistic Bonnie that they had once knew slowly started depleting. The year before Bonnie had went missing, she had gone on a Christmas shopping spree with her sister, and she had told her that their marriage was completely over and that she was planning to leave Michael and bring her son Aaron with her. But towards the end of 1992, she'd even opened up a secret bank account where she would hide some of her money so that she could eventually come up with enough to leave Michael. Now, eventually, Michael found out about this and he forced her to shut it down. It led to Bonnie giving some of her money to friends and family for safekeeping. So by January of 1993, she had managed to save up about $1,200, and she even knew down to the day that she was going to leave. Michael had a business trip towards the end of January, and she was going to leave sometime around there. She even managed to put a down payment on an apartment. She'd even gone to the lengths of finding a school for Aaron to attend. So needless to say, Bonnie was prepared to leave Michael. So pretty much everyone in Bonnie's life knew of her plan to leave Michael. She just made sure that no one ever said anything to Michael, because if they would have, then Michael would have immediately shut it down, and who knows what he would have done if he found out. So on the same day of January 7th, 1993, Bonnie's purse had been found behind a dumpster at a Red Roof Inn by an employee. Pretty much the only thing found in her purse were a lone set of keys. Back at home, they'd also found another set of car keys and then some house keys. Now, this hotel was located not very far from the Jacksonville International Airport, and her Toyota Camry was found parked outside. Now, one really weird thing about her car was that the driver's seat had been pushed back really far, almost as though someone who had been much bigger than Bonnie was sitting in the front seat, had been driving it. Now, Bonnie was only 5'1", so had she been driving, the seat would have been pushed up much further. Now, police had search teams out trying to locate Bonnie, and at the same time, they were also talking to Michael. Now, Michael was immediately suspicious, and the things that he was saying just weren't adding up. So, in their minds, they thought that either Michael had something to do with it, or he knew something about her disappearance that he wasn't telling police. Now, even though cops were really suspicious of Michael, they still wanted to just, look at other people in Bonnie's life and see if maybe they had anything to do with her disappearance. And they ended up finding out that Bonnie had actually had an affair with another man. Now, they ended up finding this man that Bonnie had had an affair with, and he said that the affair was a one-night thing. They hadn't really talked much after, and eventually they ended up ruling this man out as a suspect. On top of everything else that they had thought was suspicious about Michael, they also ended up finding a very large shoe print in the driver's side floorboard of Bonnie's car, and this shoe print was far too big to have been Bonnie's to begin with. And coincidentally, whenever they were over at Michael's home, they walked in and they found a pair of shoes sitting by the front door. So eventually they were able to find out that this shoe was the exact same size and the exact same type of shoe that the shoe print matched. Now, it immediately looked to many like Michael had been the last person to drive Bonnie's car, but at the time it wasn't able to be proven. Now, one thing that really stood out with Bonnie's disappearance, and that everyone who knew her knew, was that had Bonnie decided to leave Michael, she would have under no circumstances left Aaron with Michael. She would have, like, most definitely, without a doubt, taken Aaron with her. So this led many people to believe that something bad had happened to Bonnie. Hey guys, I'm currently editing this video. I've never used this before, so this looks really weird, but basically, I guess my camera shut off and missed like a really valuable piece of information in this case. So I'm gonna go ahead and talk about it here. Sorry about the bad quality. I can't do it. I don't know. So Detective Henson wanted to talk to Aaron just to see if he remembered anything particular about the night that his mother went missing. At first, Aaron didn't really want to talk to Henson, but eventually after a few hours, Aaron opened up and really started to say some shocking things. Mind you, Aaron is 3 years old, and he said that his father shot his mom. So Henson asked where. The boy pointed to his stomach and said the word stomach. So, like, obviously he knows. I mean, I don't know. That's just a little weird. So then Henson asked, well, what did he shoot her with? And Aaron said a gun. So then Henson asked Aaron what his mother was wearing, and he said red blood. So, basically Aaron was saying that his father had shot and killed his mother, and this was the first time detectives and police in general had heard anything like this. Before now, they of course had their speculation against Michael, but in general they just assumed that she had ran away. So having this 3-year-old say this was extremely shocking. Now, Aaron's statement left his entire family just tore apart entirely, because part of his family believed that Aaron was just making this up, he's 3 years old, while the other part of his family believed that he was telling the truth. Like, for instance, his aunt and uncle, who were in the room when Aaron was given the interview, believed that Aaron was genuinely saying what he saw. But then the other side of his family was thinking that he was just, coerced by investigators to say the things that he had said. Now, it's really hard to believe a 3-year-old eyewitness due to just their age and how easily they can be influenced. For instance, Aaron said that his mother's car had been in a lake when that wasn't true. Her car was at the airport. So inevitably, Michael had not been charged with Bonnie's murder just because he can't really trust a 3-year-old to be telling the truth, and you can't base a murder charge on something like that. But eventually, detectives and just the police in general believed that Aaron should not be living with his father, Michael, so he went to go live with his aunt, Bonnie's sister. Now, Aaron was still able to see his father a few days a week, but whenever he would visit his father or his father would come visit him, Aaron would break out in huge tantrums, just screaming, would not want to go with his father at all whatsoever. And Bonnie's sister, Liz, just could tell that it was taking an extreme toll on Aaron's psyche. So this is when Liz had to make the extremely difficult decision to put Aaron up for foster care. Now, the reason why Liz had done this was because as long as Aaron was in Liz's care, he would be forced to go visit his father. But if he was in foster care, then he legally wouldn't have to see his father anymore. So although it was difficult, she knew that that would be best for Michael in the long run. Liz also had a protective order put out on Aaron, so essentially he was kind of in like a witness protection program. Now, at the age of 5 years old, Aaron was adopted by a couple named Ronnie and Jean Frazier. Now, as days and months had gone by, Aaron began talking more and more about his mother and what had happened the night that she disappeared. So much so that Jean, his adoptive mother, started writing down word for word what he was saying. Now, Jean, his adoptive mother, was an incredible human being. She, under no means whatsoever, wanted to take over Aaron's biological mother's position. She didn't want to be Bonnie. She just wanted to be a mother figure to Aaron. So she was more than happy to have Aaron talk about his mother and express his feelings towards her. So these occurrences were beginning to happen so frequently that Jean and Aaron's new social worker decided to sit down and record some of the things that Aaron was saying. He said things like, "He buried my mom, we digged it, and the hole." My camera died, so I'm a bit fast forward here on the eyes, but so basically, I think where I left off was after his little kind of interview with his adoptive mother, Jean, and their new social worker, he ended up asking Jean if he could go look for his mother. So this took her by surprise. She didn't really know what to say, but she ended up saying yes because, I mean, what harm could it do? And first thing he does is walk out to the garage, like the backyard area. He gets a shovel and he starts digging up the ground. Now, in the year of 2005, Aaron and his Aunt Liz filed a wrongful death suit against Michael, who had had Bonnie legally declared dead. Everyone pretty much got what they wanted for Aaron, though. He made good grades in high school, had a lot of friends, had a great upbringing, and eventually married his high school sweetheart. One kind of weird thing, though, is that Aaron has no recollection to this day of anything that he was saying about how his father had killed his mother. He does not remember it at all. So in Aaron's adult years, his father had moved away to a different state and was remarried. So in December of 2018, Aaron was living in his childhood home after the recent owners had moved out. Pretty much everyone prior to Aaron living in the home said that it just had this really dark, negative energy in it at all times, and a lot of people even claim that it was haunted. Now, strangely, the lease forbid anyone who lived in the home to own any dogs or dig up the backyard, so that's a bit weird. Aaron actually started renovating the home, and him and a family member started digging up the garden area when they hit some hard surface. This had been a concrete slab, so they ended up moving the concrete slab out of the way and they found a bag. So he picked up the bag and something fell out, and at first he thought it was like a coconut or something, but he soon started looking at it and found teeth and eye sockets. So the first thing that Aaron does is call his adoptive mother and ask for Detective Henson's phone number, and he calls Henson and tells him the exact same thing that Aaron had told his adoptive mother, Jean, that being that he believes he has finally found his mother. Now, Detective Henson was exhilarated. He thought he was in a dream pretty much, and mostly because they had searched the backyard plenty of times. I don't know to what degree, but they hadn't found anything. So once police arrived, they kept on digging and they ended up finding her full skeleton. She was still wearing the same clothes that she had wore the night that she went missing, and they were just covered in blood. And sadly, she was still wearing her wedding ring. So once she got brought in for an autopsy, it was declared that she had been shot, and that she had been shot in her pelvis area, which was around the stomach. So turns out that Aaron was telling the truth and that he had saw his father shoot his mother in the stomach. So Michael Haim had been arrested and extradited back to Jacksonville, Florida, and his trial ended up getting delayed a few times. Okay, sorry guys, I had to switch over to my phone. My card is full. So basically, Michael stuck to his original story, said that his wife just left that night and that he loved his wife and would never do anything to hurt her. It only took the jury about 2 hours to come to the conclusion that Michael was guilty, and he was charged with second-degree murder on April 12th, 2019. So this case is really a handful. I kind of think it's really cool though that someone who was involved in the situation to begin with, that being Aaron, was also the one to find his mother's body. And I just think it's kind of really sweet, and that his mother would be really proud of him if if she could see him now.